Yeah, I know. I'm reviewing yet another Vampire Survivors like game. However, recently I've been addicted to this one, and yeah, I'll admit this one doesn't break the mold and pushes it like, oh, something new, something crazy. But for some reason, this is just extremely solid fun. So, is it worth playing? I'll be giving you a quick summary, giving you the good, the bad, and pretty much who should be picking this game up. Alright, so starting with the summary, the story, there isn't really a gigantic lore dump here. You're basically a potato from potato planets, and you have crash landed and you're just surviving against aliens. That is it. That is the extent of the story you're going to be seeing. Now, the gameplay. As mentioned, it's a survivors-like game. If you don't know what those games are like, pretty much you are just walking around a map, you're going to be choosing a character, and you're going to be auto-battling and shooting your way through 20 waves of varying durations. I want to say around 30 seconds to 90 seconds, killing enemies, picking up loots, waiting until the end of the duration. Then you're going to be using your experience and money to gain new weapons, new buffs, and then you continue doing it over and over again up to 20 waves. That's it. Now, the good. What is good about this game? Why am I recommending this? Well, first of all, the game loop is very fast and rewarding. I'm going to compare this to Vampire Survivors. That's a game where you're pretty much playing for 30 minutes straight. And let's just say around 33 minutes, 35 minutes, because you're also fiddling around in the menus trying to decide which upgrade you're doing. This game, it's quick. Right, 30 seconds, 90 seconds, and then boom, you're in the shop, you're chillaxing, you're waiting, you're looking at every single stats, you're pretty much taking a break, but then you are instantly seeing the results again for another good chunk. It's just this, it's separated in a nice fashion that just works. So the game loop, it's a very good thing. Next, many unlocks. First of all, when you start playing the game, you have just a couple of characters, but then once you defeat it with them, you're going to get higher difficulties up to Ascension 5, which gives more enemy types, more bosses, and stuff like that. You're going to be getting new characters with many gimmicks. Usually a character can hold up to 6 weapons. Maybe some could only hold 1, but he's powerful. Or maybe he could hold up to 12, but then he gets weaker. Or, some guy is very slow, etc. There's dozens and dozens of characters. As mentioned, more weapons. When you win with a certain character, you're going to be unlocking new passes and stuff like that. So, it gives you a good amount of replayability there. Next up, the variety of builds. I did mention 6 weapons. However, you can mix between different types. You got melee weapons, range weapons, engineering, or you're going to be putting down turrets and stuff that heal you, blow up mines, attack, with just like flamethrowers. You have elemental damage with fire, luck build for, getting better items, and tons of other stats like health regen, critical hits, lucky. Those are the basic stuff. But then you get secondary things like, explosion size, how fast can you run, bullet bouncing, and more. It's really satisfying trying out lots of different tactics. Next up, the graphics. They're pretty simple, but they're really charming and stylistic. It really reminds me of like the Newgrounds era. If anyone did that back in the day, going online and just playing all those Flash games. It just reminds me of that. Another thing I want to mention is the accessibility. This one was unexpected for this being a pretty small game. However, you can change things like enemies' health, damage, and speeds. You can use keyboard and mouse or use a controller. You can also have auto aiming or manual aiming if you want to have more control of where you're shooting and punching enemies. Alright, let's move over to the bad stuff. So, remember, this is all just my opinion and stuff like that. The music. It's decent at the start, very high, very high intense, really gets you going. However, there is not much variety there. It gets old really fast, especially if you start playing this for hours and hours on end. I ended up actually muting the game in the menu, keeping the sound effects, muting the music, but then playing my own, playlist on YouTube or Spotify. The enemy variety, just like with the music, it's good at the start, but then, God, there really just isn't that many enemy types, even though they add a couple of new ones, like enemies who, just elite enemies, boss enemies. You see every single one just after a couple of runs, so that's a small downside. Another downside is stage variety. Every time you start a stage, it's the same freaking square, and it just changes colors. Nothing really happens, even on the same enemy waves. Like, oh, wave 11, you're always gonna see this enemy type. Wave 9, always gonna see this enemy type. There isn't much you can do besides change the difficulty, and as mentioned, it's just the color of the background. And finally, another downside is there's not much to do after you get to Ascension 5. And honestly, it's not going to take you that hard to get there. You're going to learn pretty fast, and the first difficulty is pretty easy. Besides going for 100% completion on challenges, there isn't much else to do. I guess you can do endless mode, but that really does drag on, and you're not really doing much else after that. So, is this game worth buying? Who should be picking this game up? Well, I would say it's absolutely easily worth the price of admission if you buy it on Steam. I think it's on mobile, I'm not 100% sure, but it is $4.99, and it's usually just on a sale. You can get it for like $3.99. It is just the right amount of content for the price you're paying. And I guess if you're someone who really likes Vampire Survivor-like games, you can do much worse. I've played a ton of them. They're churning them out like nothing, but this one's pretty good. This is a solid game, simple to pick up, fun to master, and not long at all. Honestly, if you play this for a couple hours a day, you'll be done with it within a week, etc. You can also have fun with friends. I say have fun with friends. It's not a co-op game, but you can just sit there and watch them do a run. You do a run, go back and forth and talk. It's one of those type of games where it's actually fun to see people's decisions, watching people stream it and see, oh, I would do this. Why are they doing that? Don't buy that. No, it has like that sort of interaction. So that's it. Brotato, really good game. Highly recommend it. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're interested, I have a Brotato Let's Play going on my secondary channels, link down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.